Hi guys, Anime Gypsy here with Boruto Chapter 17 review. Now, this chapter is just something else. Um, it is one of the best chapters in Boruto in my perspective, period. And this is why. First of all, it gives us a clear view of the overall world building progression that has happened between the end of Naruto and the beginning of Boruto, where we get to see how ninja tech has affected Naruto and Boruto's worlds. We see basically not cyber warfare, but cyber materials being used in ninja missions. Basically, USB drives being used to extract data, so on and so forth. We get to see artificial arms being used in combat, which, granted, we have seen a bit before, but we haven't seen it being used by everyday people like Ao in this chapter, which I'm gonna get to. And we get confirmation for you guys about something that almost everyone in the community has said, that is, the material in the anime is canon to the material in the manga. I've been saying this, it's so intertwined. It's so intertwined, the stuff with the Ototsuki in the anime, the revelations in the first arc concerning Boruto's eye ability and other dimensions, what's going on in this current arc, and the Seven Ninja Swordsmen, which are essential overall in the power structure of the Naruto and Boruto world. This stuff is important, and you can't have it in basic filler. It has to be non-filler material, even if it's not existent. It's non-existent in the manga. It is canon material because it is stuff that is essential to the story. That's just the way it is. And in this chapter, we get confirmation of that when Boruto said, "Oh, the hidden mist. We went on a field trip to that class, and it was awesome," referring to the current field trip that the anime is on in terms of the current arc. Now, that aside, referring to what happened in the story, there are 3 points in story progression. The first point in story progression is the whole Konohamaru mission, where he stumbles upon Kara's vessel. Now, Kara's vessel, uh, it's a person. That's all we know, and the reason we know this is because Kara isn't on the ground now. They aren't near the vessel. In fact, one of the inner members of Kara called one of the outer members of Kara to go retrieve the vessel. So that person that is attacking Konohamaru Sarutobi is not a member of Kara. It's the vessel itself, which I'm guessing is definitely related to Kara in some way, shape, or form. So that aside, um, let's move on to the second point in story progression, which is the whole. And honestly, the second part in story progression, is not necessary. It is definitely not necessary. I get it. Naruto has a gripe against Katatsuki, the guy that basically was the reason for him causing that whole incident by cheating. Well, he wasn't the cause of the Otsutsuki incident. Is the cause of him not passing because he cheated using ninja tech. And then he gets in a mission protecting him. Yeah, I get it. It's solely that particular little strand is necessary for story progression. That, yeah, he's now with him on the train, and he met Ao that way. Yeah, that is necessary for story progression. That little strand, but there was just so much unnecessary dialogue. So much unnecessary dialogue in this chapter. It was mind boggling and annoying and repetitive and stupid. And that is the only negative thing I'm going to say about this chapter, is that there was so much dialogue in the second bit. Now, the third bit is when he himself, Boruto, Katsuki, Boruto and his crew, along with the scientist Katsuki, are on the train, and they meet Ao. First, knowing that Ao is still alive, we get a feel to the importance of ninja tech, that they basically reduce the amount of casualties, which I've talked about previously, and we also get an understanding that for some, and this was the first red flag that something's off about him. He said that for some reason he didn't go back to the mist ever since the war ended. That was an immediate red flag. That was, wait, what? No, that was what that was, and I don't want. It just didn't make sense that his recovery lasted such a long time that he wasn't able to go back to the village. No, his recovery would have taken something like what, 2 3 years, and it's been 16 years. No, more than 16 years since the war ended. I'm sure it was more than 16 years since the war has ended. It just makes absolutely no sense, not in the slightest. Um, but I do wonder what Ao's motives are. Obviously, at first I thought that Ao might be a double agent, but it wouldn't make sense that Naruto wouldn't know anything about Kara. It just wouldn't. And maybe he is a double agent, and the current Mizukage Chojuro knows, but he just doesn't think that Kara is that big of an organization yet, because the members of Outer don't have that much leeway of information towards the members of Inner. Sorry, the members of Inner don't give that much information out to the members of Outer. It's because the members of Outer are just pawns. Now, you have to wonder, what is the motive behind Kara? And it the only thing I could come up with from Ao's dialogue is that they're similar to the Akatsuki and they think their motive is going to cause overall peace and neglect war. But it just doesn't make sense in the current standing of the story, because there hasn't been war in 16 years. There has been peace. So an Akatsuki-like organization doesn't work in the Boruto era as it does in the Naruto era. You can't have people saying that this system is failing us and it's causing war when there is no war to begin with. Instead, you have, like, uh, I mean, this is basic neoliberal institutionalism in Boruto right now. Political speech that basically means good negotiations with other countries. Other countries understand one another and their social standings, and respect one another's social standings, and build interconnecting relationships that prevent war. That is basically political talk for that, and that's the current state of Boruto right now. So it doesn't make sense that an organization would say, "Oh, this system is failing us. It is creating war. This is terrible." No, where's the war? On the other hand, organizations such as a Neo Akatsuki, the what was it called? What was the organization that this? I keep forgetting his name. Damn it! The main antagonist in the Gaiden arc. Um, the fake Uchiha. See, he was so irrelevant. I even forgot his name. I mean, like, people like that who say that, through conflict the progression of the human species commences, and that is necessary for the existence of humanity. Like, this type of philosophy that necessitates violence is the type that would work in Boruto, not the one that is created to prevent violence. And the reason I'm saying that I think Karo's objective is to end violence is because of that. This scene, the scene with Boruto, and Boruto's character is supposed to be better than this. Boruto's character right now is filled with holes. Boruto's character basically just up in this old man's business. Like, oh, war must have been great. He doesn't say that, but basically the vibe is giving, oh, war must have been great. What was it like? Boruto, you should know better than this, man. It's beneath you. You know? It's just annoying seeing a character do something like that when they know they should know better. You know? And Sarada is the mature one in the conversation. Like, hey, lay off the war talk. This guy might not want to talk about it. Now, what exactly are the motives of Kara? I, I don't know. But if they're leaning towards peace, then that's a big plot hole, because you already have it. You have a neoliberal institutional society that Bait has almost no conflict. Zero, zilch, as opposed to the previous generation with Naruto where wars could happen at any moment. No, this is a peaceful time where barely any war happened and almost no international conflict exists. It just doesn't make sense. But the reason, again, I'm going back to my initial statement that this is one of the best chapters in Boruto. The reason I said it's one of the best chapters is because out of all of the chapters so far, it has the most progressive material. Just straight up. The previous chapter was pretty good. It really was, but the big thing was the Kara revelation, and we didn't get much of it. We didn't learn much about it, but it was pretty hype. Um, it's actually, now that I come to think about it, last week's chapter was better, but I think that this week's chapter, it just it's an interesting chapter because just there are little bits and pieces that do complement world building and show you the extent in which the Naruto world has evolved. But at the same time, it's in terms of progression, there are also little bits and pieces that allude to certain things, like the conversation with Ao and the revelation. But the revelation that Ao is a member of Kara. What is Kara's goal is something that everyone wants to know right now. And in order to understand it, if Ao became a member of Kara, that would mean that Kara's overall goal alludes to peace somehow, some way, like the Akatsuki, which wouldn't make sense. But if Ao is like some sort of double agent, then who knows? And I mean, overall, it was an interesting chapter, and I think the reason I was overhyped at the beginning of the video because we didn't get much in a month, because this is a monthly manga. But it's interesting, it's nice, and yeah. Until next time, guys. This is Anime Gypsy, and I'm out.